In 1992, the Los Angeles riots tore through the city, bringing complete destruction to the community and its businesses. As the world watched, news stations played over and over again the brutal video of Rodney King being beaten by the police and the acquittal that came a year later, leading most to believe that this was the only reason behind the city's anger. But what so many people didn't see on the news was that just 2 weeks after the Rodney King beating, there was another brutality caught on camera, one that fueled racial tensions in LA and had rioters shouting the name Latasha Harlins. Latasha Harlins was born in Illinois on January 1st, 1976. When she was 5, her mother and father moved the family to Los Angeles, California, in the south area of LA. But just 2 years after the move, Latasha's parents got a divorce. Her father left town, and Latasha and her 2 younger siblings stayed with their mother. Tragically, not long after, Latasha's mother was found murdered outside of an LA nightclub. Latasha was 9 years old. After her mother's death, Latasha was put in the care of her grandmother and aunt who raised her and her brother and sister. As a kid, Latasha was described as being fun and full of energy. She was an honor roll student and had dreams of becoming a lawyer. But on March 16, 1991, those dreams came to an end. It was Saturday morning in Los Angeles. The city of LA had been on edge for weeks ever since the police beating video of Rodney King was released to the news media just 13 days earlier. 15-year-old Latasha Harlins, who lived in South Central, decided to stop at the Empire Market near her house to get some orange juice. Empire Market was owned by Korean husband and wife Billy Hwang Kai-do and Sunya Do. The couple had bought the mini market a few years earlier and was just one of a number of Korean families who had been purchasing businesses in South Central neighborhoods since the early 1980s. Normally, Billy Hwang Kai ran the front of the store with his son, but that morning he was working on the outside of the market, so his wife Sunya Do was at the register. At around 10 a.m., Latasha entered Empire Market and immediately walked to the back refrigerator section of the store and grabbed a small $1.79 bottle of orange juice from the cooler. Latasha put the orange juice in the back pocket of her backpack and proceeded to the front counter with $2 in her hand. But before Latasha had a chance to show her money, Sunya Do accused her of trying to steal the juice. Sunya reached over the counter and grabbed Latasha's backpack. Latasha pushed back. Sunya then grabbed Latasha's sweater, and Latasha pushed back again, knocking Sunya down. Attempting to end the confrontation, Latasha tossed the bottle of orange juice on the counter and walked towards the door. Seconds later, Sunya reached under the register, grabbed a .38 caliber handgun, and fired, hitting Latasha in the back of the head and killing her instantly. Court documents later revealed that Latasha had died with the $2 still in her hand. The entire incident was caught on surveillance camera. The killing of Latasha Harlins added to the already tense relationships between African Americans and Korean Americans in South Central during the 80s. In the book The Contested Murder of Latasha Harlins, author Brenda Stevenson noted that tensions had been building for years between the majority black community who lived in South LA and the Koreans who ran businesses there. Korean store owners believed black customers were dangerous and more likely to shoplift, while black customers accused Korean store owners of being racist and disrespectful. These beliefs from each side created anger and hostility in the community that sometimes turned violent. As the public debated both sides, Sunya Do in the case of Latasha Harlins went to trial. 51-year-old Sunya testified on her own behalf, claiming that the shooting was in self-defense and that she believed her life was in danger. Court documents show Sunya testified that although she could see the orange juice in Latasha Harlins' backpack, she remained suspicious, feeling that if Latasha had intended to pay for the juice, she would have had the bottle in her hand. Security footage proved Sunya's claim of shoplifting to be false, as it showed Latasha approaching the register to pay for the juice. The security footage also contradicted Sunya's claim of self-defense, as the video showed Latasha walking away during the time of her death. The jury found Sunya Do guilty of voluntary manslaughter and recommended the maximum sentence of 16 years. However, the trial judge, Joyce Carlin, threw out the jury's sentencing recommendation and instead sentenced Sunya to 5 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and a $500 fine. Sunya received no jail time. Judge Joyce Carlin explained her decision in a statement at sentencing, saying, "Did Miss Do react inappropriately to Latasha Harlins? Absolutely. But was that overreaction understandable? I think it was. Judge Harlin added that she believed it unlikely that Sun Ya would ever commit a serious crime again. After Sun Ya's sentencing, Latasha Harlins' family, as well as the community, was outraged. Denise Harlins, Latasha's aunt, held marches and protests demanding justice for her niece. But later, a state appeals court unanimously upheld Judge Harlins' sentencing. This intensified the feelings in the community of anger and frustration with the criminal justice system. The LAPD tried to calm tensions throughout the city by disputing reports that Latasha's shooting was racially motivated, and the president of the National Korean American Grocers Association released a statement asking the public to see the incident as a dispute between store owner and customer and not a racial event. But these statements only caused more racial divide. 6 months later, in April of 1992, while the Latasha Harlins verdict was still fresh on everyone's mind, the Rodney King verdict was announced. Not guilty. Within hours, violence erupted on the streets of South LA and quickly spread to Koreatown. By the time the riots ended, 5 days later, more than 60 people had been killed, over 2,000 were injured, and nearly 6,000 looters and arsonists were arrested. The rioting destroyed Koreatown. It's estimated that almost 3,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed, and that approximately 2,000 of those buildings were Korean-owned. Sun Ya-do and her husband's store was one of those businesses. Empire Market was looted and burned to the ground, and it never reopened. Following the riots, the LA Times reported that the LAPD blamed the city's unrest on the Rodney King verdict, but that most Koreans believed that they were targeted because of the death of Latasha Harlins. Despite this, months after the riots, leaders from both the African American community and the Korean American community got together, calling for a time of healing, and over 30,000 demonstrators gathered in the same spot the riots took place, marching for racial solidarity. It's now been almost 30 years since Latasha Harlins was killed. Her story has inspired numerous books, movies, documentaries, and songs, with the most notable being Tupac's song, Thug's Mansion. Latasha Harlins is now remembered not as a symbol of hate, but as a symbol of why we need peace. And to this day, Latasha's family still holds a vigil every year in her memory, bringing awareness to what racial divide can cause, if not addressed.
All this racism and hate going on and people being pitted against each other. Please don't believe the hype. Support one another, all nationalities, because we're going to need it.